Thank you very much. Senator Round. Senator Ernst, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for your service and your willingness to testify in front of the committee. General Raymond, we'll start with you. The investment in Space Force in this year's proposed NDAA is pretty significant. We've got a top line of $24.5 billion, and over $16 billion is marked for research and development. We are briefed constantly in this body about the speed of acquisitions or lack thereof. And we know that the Chinese's acquisition timelines are much faster, sometimes 3 to 5 times faster in domains like space and cyber. It's so much quicker than the way we move at the Pentagon. And I think that justification for a Space Force distinct from the Air Force requires a distinct 21st century culture that will move quickly to adapt and modernize with all of these new technologies, and really closes the gap on where we are with our near-peer adversaries. So we hear all the time in posture hearings, we're bemoaning the fact that acquisition timelines are too long. We have these risk-averse cultures, and they really trouble the other services. You're a brand new service. So how will you build that culture in Space Force that will ensure and encourage a fast follower type model for private industry and is willing to assume that prudent risk and fail faster? So how can we do that? We want to make sure that you are successful, but we have to compete with our near-peer adversaries.
I couldn't agree more with you. We have to be bold and be innovative, and I think space provides an opportunity to do that. The business model that we've used in the past in space are very large, very exquisite satellites that are very expensive and not very easily defendable. And this force design work that we've done shifts us to less exquisite with higher numbers that allows us to adopt more of a business model that you might see commercial companies doing. And so that's on the transformation of our capabilities, that's the path we're headed down. On the people part of this, we are investing in developing and acquiring talent that has commercial experience. In fact, last year when the Air Force Academy cadets graduated, 118 were coming to the Space Force. They had a little bit of time before they were going to go into training. We sent them to commercial companies and said, go figure out how they do that. So everything that we're doing is focusing on getting after a culture that can go fast, be agile. But I will tell you, it's not like Amazon Prime where you can order it overnight. It's going to take us a little bit of time to build this, but that's exactly where we're headed.
So with that model, and I'm glad you mentioned the personnel aspect of that, because we have to make sure that as new authorities are being pushed out to the service branches, in your case, Space Force, that your acquisition personnel are properly trained on those new authorities. Do you feel that they are receiving the training necessary to move as quickly as possible and use some of these new models?
I am satisfied that their training allows them to do that. We've got great folks. I think just the capabilities that we had set us on a path that didn't allow us to take risk, and where we're trying to shift towards is a model that does.
Yeah, thank you. And Secretary Kendall, you just sticking on this theme as well, you had noted last week in front of HASC that the Chinese are better than us at starting a lot of new things and then taking them through to fielding, end quote. And why is that? What is it that we can do differently? We've heard General Raymond talk about Space Force. How can we do this differently in Air Force and our other service branches?
Senator, I want to first take a little bit of issue with what you said earlier about how long it takes the Chinese to do things. They're actually not faster at engineering than we are. But what they do is they what I was talking about in the HASC was that they have made decisions quickly. I think somebody earlier mentioned how they can do a decision in 3 days, and we take 3 years to do a decision and then get money. It takes us time to get money and start because of the process that we go through here. But I looked recently at the J-20, their most modern fighter, for example, and the development time for that aircraft was comparable to the F-35. It was not remarkably faster. But they do seem to be very creative and innovative. They are studying how we fight, what we depend upon to project power in particular, and designing systems that are intended to defeat us. I've talked to people earlier about how when the Soviets were in existence and they wanted to do a new program, the question of leadership would always ask was, are the Americans doing it? And if the Americans were not doing it, then the Soviets didn't do it either. But with the Chinese, they don't care what we're doing. They're looking at how we fight, what we depend upon, and they're being very creative about the things that they're buying to come after us.
Good. Thank you. And I do hope that we can continue with a model of efficiency and be less risk averse as we move forward. We want to make sure that you have everything you need to succeed. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.